All right, we can slide on here to the last story of the day, boy. Let's talk about Microsoft. Talk about Xbox, man. Let's talk about what they're doing as of late. Apparently, we've heard some news from Windows Central from Jez Corden that there is a new formation of a team between Microsoft and Activision within Blizzard to work on smaller games based on existing IP. Apparently, it's a brand new team again under the King Blizzard umbrella that's starting to form more of a double A centric team and exploring more experiences with agile development studios, development teams to build again those those games out to kind of sit under AAA stuff, and yeah, just focus on more of combating the AAA kind of cost ballooning that's been happening over the past few years. So, how do you feel about that focus on more double A games and the creation of teams like this?
I think it's a good call. I think Activision has such a big Activision Blizzard, like I mean Xbox in general has a huge amount of IPs under their belt. Double A, I think, would honestly benefit them the most because I think that would be the most bang for their buck when it comes to things like Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like a double A game that I cannot shut up about is Kunitsugami.
Facts.
Um, Path of the Goddess. Like I love that game, and it's a game that I think not many people would have bought on release. But if you threw that bad boy on Game Pass, I love it. I play it. I still need to beat it, but I've literally been working my way slowly through it. Um, there's more games like that on Game Pass that I think give the
Mm.
consumer valid reason to keep paying for it. I think another one that just released, Creatures of Ava or
Yeah.
Ava. I need to tap into Flintlock, like really good double A games that I think really are like the backbone of Game Pass. Because don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, you got your Call of Duties, you have your Forzas, you have those big blockbuster games, but they only drop every so often. We can't always expect for. I mean, we could always expect every year for a Call of Duty, but let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Um, but you can't always expect for a game like Forza to drop every single year. But something like My Time at Sandrock, like I'm literally just looking at like recently added. Those are like games that just got recently added. There's a bunch of games that are just good games that aren't crazy breaking the bank, but I know that there's a lot of people that get a lot of time out of them, and a lot of game companies that may not have gotten as much exposure
Mm-hmm.
now have more exposure because of them being on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I think this is just like a no-brainer, and I'm happy that they're making this step. um, I wish they would have kept some other studios involved. Tango, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, we're talking about double A games that people liked, that felt like that's really what Hi-Fi Rush was, but I digress.
Yeah.
This is a smart move on their part. I want to see it followed through and done correctly, because that's the biggest is that's going to be the deciding factors. Like, how well can you guys execute on this plan?
100%. And I think it's funny that like kind of now they're like, yo, we got to kind of capitalize on this. It comes a little bit later, but still, not still there's still time to adjust. But after again, Hi-Fi Rush and after Power World had a really big boom with a super small team, I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall between that and between all the stuff that's been happening at the AAA level, like how difficult it is to really deliver at a AAA level today. And I think they've again come to this realization where we kind of have to offset some of the cost bearing with some of the agility, and some of the availability of some of our resources. Like, yo, if we can deploy these smaller teams to kind of work on these existing IPs, we could potentially have high hit rates and stuff for a fraction of the cost of us making one big super RPG experience or super AAA experience, and then maybe we can build up to it over time or send those up to higher teams. And something else that was fair to note in this article and just some context added by Jess Corden was the intent from Xbox wanting studios within the umbrella to collaborate more closely. They kind of wanted to emulate how Nintendo works with the close knit of studios and developers and teams that know each other's style, that know how to kind of contribute to each other. Like, the coalition has been supporting other teams. Apparently, like again, like the Undead Lab stuff with State of Decay, the coalition's been actively at work helping them out. So I think this is a really smart move. Again, like I agree with you. It's a no brainer because at multiple levels, you're fostering collaboration between people, between known franchises and teams within your umbrella of teams and stuff like that. Like, again, the coalition could go help this other indie developer, or you could have an indie team of like freaking 5 people making a really, really big hit that's apparently got great word of mouth, and that could build up notoriety and fame and potential sales into something bigger. In this day and age, you have to be a little bit more purist with your approach, and not with just you can't just throw money at this. You can't really just throw money at this. And I think double A and indie, of course, it's going to be the point where some more of the fun, more of the more experimental, more of the, again, wider, maybe more out there ideas that you couldn't necessarily pull off in AAA are possible, and that might lend itself to you latching onto a smash hit. Because, again, another example, Helldivers 2 is to me, right, Helldivers 2 is double A. It's a double A game. And that's just how it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a double A game. Helldivers 1 was either indie or indie or smaller scale. At most, Helldivers is double A. And it's amassed a huge following just because of how authentic it was in its experience and what it built on. So I think the signs have been always there for Xbox to kind of start moving in this direction. Not get rid of their AAA experiences, because I think you need the big heavy hitter titles, but decreasing the rate of them so you don't have to spend so much money on things that aren't as surefire hits, and you can spend more of this money creating weirder, more fun, more out there experiences that are, at least a lot more digestible on your wage bill, because there are smaller experiences. You know what I'm saying? You can pull a cane of Bridge of Spirits and be like, yo, all right, listen, we need a team of like 75 people. You know what I'm saying? Let's get a quick like 3 or 4 year project. You know what I'm saying? Get this in. This is very, very easy, very, very deployable strategy to kind of like put a lot of people onto, put a lot of resources into, and you're good. And again, if it's a decent hit on Game Pass, cool. You know what I'm saying? At worst, it just kind of has a nice little moment on Game Pass after you promote it, and it kind of fizzles out. But it was a good learning experience, and you got to collaborate more with some of your umbrella studios, more, again, synergy, more chemistry, and that adds to bigger projects if you need to call in certain people. At best, you get a banger hit like a Power World or something like that, and you just created a whole new star that you can bank on in the future for IPs and stuff. So it's a good strategy. I think this is a good strategy that everybody else kind of employs in one way or another, whether it's Nintendo. They've been doing this for years, and Sony always has their indie studios that they kind of support and prop up and kind of bring into the fold, like the people who made Stray and shit like that. It Takes Two, that they've had their thing. I don't know if they're fully independent or they work with Sony or Xbox. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know what I'm saying. Those level of studios and those games, those experiences, they get some play, and then they start to get integrated a little bit more and more, get more support over time, and that start adding a lot more value that is exponentially higher than what it costs to make the game. So I think there's a lot of potential to create some good shit here. More weirder, more diverse games, and I think there's a great way to deliver it. So I'm interested to see the strategy unfold.